Good morning. Just making sure everything's connected up properly here. If you saw a previous stream had a connection problem, it didn't seem to be connecting properly here. So let's go ahead and get going here since it's 10 o'clock. So welcome to VirtualPBX-admin training. On YouTube here, you're seeing our dash login page, which is dash.virtualpbx.com. It's a page you can bookmark. You can also navigate this through the VirtualPBX website, right? So if you're at virtualpbx.com, mouse over support, and you'll have a menu show up, and you can click on dash login, and that'll also take you to this page. On Dash, to log in, you need your username, which is your email address, your password, which is hopefully emailed to you, and then your account name, which is typically your company name. Now, these are all case sensitive, and especially in case of your email address, you want to make sure that that first letter is not capitalized. I know on some browsers it can automatically capitalize that first letter. Hold on a minute, I'm just making sure. There we go. Looks like I was not looking at the correct stream. Gonna have to remove that other one. All right. Now, if for some reason you didn't get your password sent to you via email, then, or you simply forgot, you can click on the Forgot Your Info link here at the bottom right. Little flip there. You still need your email address, right? So the email address you signed up with us with, or if you were a former vConsole customer and it's your first time logging in, it's the email address that was used for your password recovery in vConsole. And then we need either the account name, right, so company name, or a phone number on your account, right? One or the other. You don't need both. Then you click on Reset Password. The system will email you, giving you a link to essentially log in and change your password. Now, once you change that password, the system logs you back out to make you log in with the new password. And that also gives you the opportunity to click on the Remember Me, so that way you don't have to remember the password going forward. Let's go ahead and get signed in here. All right, so I'm displaying a test account, which I've logged into several times. If you just signed up and it's just your first time logging in, period, it will actually show up as something more like this. This is basically your user page. The dash wizard will pop up highlighting different aspects of things on these pages. As an admin, you also have the option to go here to your account. And the main thing that's changed under the account settings is the time zone. So you can change it to the correct time zone. Now, also on a live account, you have another section over on the left under user for your billing information. So this is where you can change your credit card, for example. You can see your service plan. You can update the billing contacts. Once you're done in this page, just go ahead and click on the close button here to the top right, and you'll be here on our dashboard. Now over here with the question mark icon at the top right, so you have chat with us, right? So it opens up a chat window so you can chat with our support team. You've got the learn more. This will take you to the support pages directly, so you can look up specific guides, as well as some videos. Although if you're on our YouTube channel, there are several videos as well dealing with some of our support topics. Over here to the right, the online store that takes you to store.virtualpbx.com, so you can order things like the VirtualPBX desktop softphone application, or physical VoIP phone, routers, headsets, that sort of thing. And then up here we have the web phone link. Now the web phone link will only show up after you've added a web phone to your user. That's what's showing up here on this one. And then, so after you've added it, and then the next time you log in, the web phone link will show up. The web phone is a kind of soft phone, right? So soft phone is a software application that makes use of your internet connection to make and receive calls. And the web phone specifically lets you use Chrome or Firefox on a computer to make and receive calls. So a little handy. Basically, you don't need any additional software if you already have the browsers. After that, you just need to make sure you have a mic and headphone or speakers so you can make use of it. All right, over here we've got the hamburger or menu icon, right? 3 horizontal lines. So we are currently on the dashboard. These other sections are often admin features or add-ons, and we'll discuss those towards the very end of the training. And then you got the logout icon over here. Now over here on the left, these are the core features of Dash, which we are going to be going down in order. And here in the middle, we've got total users. So these are all the people on your account, right? These are people who make and receive calls, basically all your staff. Now, depending on the plan that you're on, you may, adding users may increase your bill. It may not. Again, there's per user plans, and then there's unlimited user plans, but they have a minute pool. So something to keep in mind. Total devices, I have 56 on this account. All right, so cell phone, pretty self-explanatory. The web phone, which we just talked about, I think I have 19 of those. Soft phone, these are soft phone applications, right? Or so software. This could be the VirtualPBX soft phone app. This could be a third-party soft phone application, right? There are many companies that have their own soft phones, and you can use several of them with us. All right, we got SIP phone. So SIP is a physical VoIP phone, right? So piece of hardware sits on your desk. Connects to Ethernet. You make and receive calls. Something to keep in mind is in terms of the physical hardware phones, there are many types of VoIP phones on the market. So if you're shopping for one, you want to make sure that it says it is SIP compliant or SIP compatible. That's Sierra Indigo pop-up, like a sip of water. Then we've got, should have landline next, right? And that's pretty self-explanatory. Now, unregistered devices. Oops. All right, I've got 15 of them here. So the Dash can detect when a VoIP phone is connected to it or not, right? So when it says unregistered, that means the phone's not connected, meaning we can't send or receive calls from that device. Now, that can be something really simple, like the phone simply isn't on, right? Or like in the case of a soft phone application, the person hasn't logged into the soft phone app yet. That can be something complicated, like, oh, Bob just moved into a new apartment. He's getting his home network set up, and nothing's connecting, right? So he's got to do some network troubleshooting to figure out why his phones aren't connecting. All right. Next up, we have total numbers. I have 50 phone numbers on this account. Now, your plan includes anywhere from 1 to 15 phone numbers as part of your monthly plan package, right? So every month you're paying a certain amount for your plan, and that includes anywhere from that 1 to 15 phone numbers. You can go over that allotment, but if you do so, your bill will increase. The rate is between $1.99 and $4.99 per phone number per month over your allotment. And that may be more if you have international numbers, because sometimes they have additional fees associated with those. All right, down here we've got assigned numbers and spare numbers. So an assigned number means you're using it. It's going someplace, right? So if someone dials an assigned number, they will have the expectation, or you should have the expectation, that that person will reach either a staff member or at least be able to get to a voicemail box. Spare number, the number on your account, it counts towards your allotment, but it's not going anywhere. It's not going to ring anybody. It's basically a number like you're using for a special promotion, say for Christmas. And now that promotion's over, and so I don't want to get calls on this because we're getting people about something that we're no longer promoting. So you put it into your spare numbers. When people dial that number, it rings busy, so they can't connect. And then hopefully they call your main numbers to ask about, your current promotion. It could also be you have, like you got sequential numbers and you just haven't gotten to the later numbers. The other breakdown here, we have USDID and the US toll-free. So US toll-free, it's an 800 number, right? Or 888 or 877, all the way down to 833 currently. USDID, that just means a US local number. So you have a number in Las Vegas, Nevada, or a number in Rochester, New York, any place in between. If you are interested in international phone numbers, including Canada, you will need to contact our porting team. Just email porting, P-O-R-T-I-N-G, @virtualpbx.com. And they'll need to know the city and country that you're interested in having a phone number in. Some countries have requirements in order to get a number. Like Germany, for example, requires proof of presence within the city that you're requesting a number in. Usually a utility bill in that city is fine with the showing the address. Other countries don't care, like the UK, you can get a number from them without any other documentation currently. All right, conference bridges, I have 6. That just means I have 6 users on this account who can host a conference. Meaning I've enabled the conference bridge feature on that user. Now, I'm not able to do that until I actually have a main conference number. So we'll go over here to the right. So we have our main numbers, right? These 4 phone numbers. These are my general, phone numbers, right? So like new customers typically would call these numbers first. These numbers all behave the same way, and they'll all have the same main greeting. So like I'll have them all route to my virtual receptionist. So they all have the same menu options available to them. They'll all have that same main greeting. Down below that, I've got my conference number. You can have multiple conference numbers if you wish. And again, that number goes directly into your conference bridge, and essentially and this is for you, your staff, as well as any outside parties who are going to join the conference. Your fax box number, you can have 1. This enables faxing on the account. The fax box number itself is where you're receiving your faxes. But this will also enable the ability to have outbound faxing, which we'll get to shortly. Next up, we've got the company directory, and this is a download link. This will download a text file showing all your users on the account with their extension numbers, and I believe their email addresses. All right, so if you have staff members who want to print out of the directory and everyone's extension, you can do that. Next up, we have the soft phone directory download link. This is for use with the VirtualPBX desktop soft phone application. So you would download this file and then upload it to the desktop soft phone app. And this will allow you to see all your other staff members who have the VirtualPBX soft phone, right? And you can see their status. So like right now, since I'm doing this training, I put myself on Do Not Disturb on my soft phone. The rest of my colleagues can see, like if they're about to call me, they're like, oh, it says Do Not Disturb, so they know not to call me. Also, if I wasn't on Do Not Disturb, they could just click on my name and then call me directly. All right, store a discount code. Just for being a customer, you get a discount in our online store. So save you, I think it's 10%. So it's like on the soft phone app or on a physical phone. And then we have the account realm. The account realm is used in faxing out. It's also used in programming a third-party VoIP phone or application, soft phone application. And we'll get into that in a little bit more detail in just a little bit. Now, up here at the top, or towards the top, we've got the company caller ID. Now, unfortunately, my streaming software doesn't always let me show all the pull downs, but you can select any of your main numbers here. And in this next field down here, you can put your company caller ID name or CNAME. This is, you can input up to 15 characters, including spaces and special characters. And once you click on Save Changes there at the bottom, this will get transmitted to the other carriers who support CNAME. Now, a couple things to keep in mind. Not every carrier supports CNAME. So when you pick up a VoIP phone, right, and make an outbound call, your call gets out into the world, right? Starts with us, goes out to various other carriers to get to that destination. If your call happens to route through one of those carriers that doesn't support CNAME, your CNAME information does not reach your destination. There's not a lot we can do to control that, just because we can't make other companies offer a feature. Now, the big carriers that you have all heard of all support CNAME. You don't have to worry about those particular companies. It's the small regional carriers that you typically have to worry about. Can be last mile kind of carriers. Even for the carriers who do support it, it's not a high priority. So, for instance, Georgia is about to have their runoff election. Actually, they're having their runoff election Tuesday. So they might be having heavier than expected call volume in certain parts of Georgia right now. So the carriers in Georgia may not be having CNAME information go through right now. Because like, nope, it's much more important for them to connect the call and then have the caller ID show up. And then way back in third is the CNAME information. Obviously, even for the carriers who do support it, if they're having a service issue, right? So they have like, a cell tower went down, or for landline carriers, right? Someone crashed into a telephone pole. Again, they're a little bit more concerned about getting calls connected than CNAME information. All right. Down below here, we got the company emergency information, or E911. This would be the default information that if one of your staff members picks up a VoIP phone, dials 911, this is the address information that is transmitted to emergency services. So one, you want to make sure this address is accurate. You want to make sure they go to the right address. You can have this set up for each of your phone numbers. So that way you can, and for each device, you can select which E911 address to use. So since a lot of people are working remotely, you can make sure they have the correct address. And then any changes you make, click on Save Changes. All right, next up we got hold music. Excuse me. All right, so hold music on Dash. Once a call has come to a user and the user has put someone on hold on their VoIP phone, that is when hold music plays on Dash. Now, on Dash, you can upload your own file. Dash will play back .wav, .wav, and the .mp3 files. You want to record in mono and currently you need to keep the file under 1 megabyte. You can occasionally get files larger than 1 megabyte to upload successfully, but in terms of consistency, we've seen 1 megabyte is the current limit. So like the 1 megabyte MP3 is roughly 5 minutes long. But to upload, you would click on the upload button. Then you would click on browse to find the file on your computer. So like that one, for example. And then you would click on the little up arrow icon here and then save changes. All right, hours is actually part of main number. So let's go over to main number and go through the whole shebang. All right, at the top, your main company numbers. If you don't want to use one of these numbers as a main number any longer, you can click on the unassigned next to it, like this 562 number. So now it's no longer a main number. Now this number is still on my account. It just became a spare number. So I can assign it to something else, right? I can assign it to one of my users, ring group, a queue, etc. In fact, anywhere where you can add a number, you have the option to add from spare numbers. Right, so that 562 number plus looks like I had an 814 number. Or you can buy numbers, right? So local, you just need to search for an area code. Let's check Vegas. There we go. So you have a list of numbers to choose from. If you scroll down, the list will then propagate some more. All right, you can choose a number you like. You notice I've added it to my cart. It says the number here, and I have the option to delete it. And I can add multiple numbers at the same time. And then you simply click Buy Numbers. Now, and this will add it to the spot, right? So I am adding that 702 number now as another main number, right? So I could do this, that same process would apply on a user, a ring group, etc. Likewise for toll-free, you choose the toll-free prefix you want to use. You click on search. Oh, that showed up under 833, that's strange. There we go, under 877. Again, you find a number that you like, you would click add, and then you would click buy numbers. Now, once a number's on the account, you can also click on this little gear icon. Right, you can adjust the caller ID, again, caller ID name, as well as accepting the CNAME information on the way in. You can adjust the E911 information for a specific phone number. Prepend, this is for your VoIP phone users. You can add text in front of the caller ID. This will show up on your VoIP phone's display in addition to the inbound phone number, right? So this let your staff know, oh, it's for this company, or it's about this promotion, right? It just gives them a little bit of a heads up about what the call's about ahead of time. All right, office hours strategy. If you're a new sign-up, you start off with 24-hour open office, meaning the system is ready to accept calls. Most customers choose to go to custom office hours. And then for each day of the week that you're open, you put a check mark in front of the day. And then you specify your open hours in 24-hour or military time based off of these pull downs. And then down here towards the bottom, you can put a check mark here saying if your whole facility is closed for lunch, and then you can specify your lunch hours. And then you would click on Save Changes, which unfortunately is cut off. Next up, we have office holidays. If you're closed for holidays, you put a check mark for the holiday, or to say that you're closed. And then towards the right here, you click on Add Holiday. You've got a little pull down for single day, date range, and advanced. Each one of those would create a new row. So single day, for example, is President's Day. I give it a name in this box, and then I select the month and the date, although I believe that's incorrect right now. Date range, just like I have up here for Christmas. right? I said, hey, start on December 23rd and then end on December 26th. The main caveat for date range is because there's no year indicator, you do not want a date range that includes New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. And then this one here, retreat, this is the advanced example where basically I said, hey, the first Friday in July, we're on holiday, right? Company picnic day. Right, yep, so you can do first, second, third, fourth. They can do last as well. And then obviously each day of the week. And then any changes, click on Save Changes. Right. Incoming call handling, this is the big tamale. So for all these main numbers, right, the 4 main numbers I have up here, during my open hours, this is how my calls are routing. Right, so in this case, calls are coming into my virtual receptionist. I have these other options, and we'll cover them shortly. You also notice here I have an after hours tab. So what do I want my system to do after hours for these main numbers? You can have it, again, route to these other options, and as well as for holidays. All right, so in this case, calls come in, they're going to my virtual receptionist. This is the virtual receptionist is a link. So we'll go ahead and click on that. On my left are the menu options, right? So what buttons people can press on their phone to navigate through the phone system. On the right are my greetings options as well as some setting options. Now, to give the menu options or to add menu options, right? You click on Add Route. You have default and then 0 through 9, and then where you want to go. In terms of where you can send calls, we'll start here at the top. You can go to the Smart Directory. You can send it to a specific user, right? So a specific person. You can send it to a call queue. Now queues fall under either ACD queues or ACD queues Pro. That starts at $15 per month per queue and goes up from there. You can send calls to a specific device, meaning a specific phone. Right, so I can send it to someone's cell phone or their soft phone, etc. You can have it go to a media file. Basically, plays a greeting, like the press the menu option plays a greeting. Now, once that file is done playing, the call will end. And we'll scroll down here. Advanced call flows, in this case, these are submenus. So now on Dash, you can make use of submenus, meaning I can have this main view, say, for English, press 1, for Spanish, press 2. Those 2 menu options then go to their own menus, right? So like press 2, the person would then hear a greeting play in Spanish, and then they would have menu options that they can choose from to go to Spanish-speaking staff members, right? Whereas if someone press 1, they get the greeting in English, and then their menu options go to English-speaking staff members, right? And that's all based off of this initial menu. And you can go down further from that if you want to. You can have menu options here go to voicemail box, so someone can leave a message. Now, greeting options, text-to-speech, you simply type in a greeting, hit update. You would click on save, and then save changes over here on the right. And that's just a computerized or robotic voice. There's no charge for that. You can upload your own file, .wav, .mp3, recorded in mono under 1 megabyte. And then you would click on update, and then save and save changes. You can choose from an existing recording. This would be a pull down, typically speaking, and you can choose a file that's already in place. You can record it over the phone. Now, when it says pick up a phone registered in this account, that means the system is referring to a VoIP phone, right? So soft phone, web phone, or SIP phone. Now, if you want to use a cell phone or a landline, then you can do so. That's just this setting right here. allow outside recording, make sure it's on, and then a cell phone or landline user can then call in to change the greeting. And then you have to enter this PIN number. Now, this PIN number is only good during, in this case, open hours, right? So it's only valid during my open hours, and it's only valid to change the open hours greeting. So basically, you would call into your main number. If you've just signed up or you don't have a greeting in place, then you would want to hit the PIN number right away. The system will then walk you through recording a greeting and putting it in place. If you already have a file in place, right? You have greeting A is currently your greeting. If you call in, when that greeting plays, you would enter in the PIN number. The system will still recognize it and then still walk you through recording a new greeting over the phone. However, greeting A, right? The file name stays the same. Excuse me. However, the content will change to what you're just recording over the phone on that particular call. Professional recording services. If you click order, this will take you to Snap Recordings. They have something between like 80 and 100 voice actors and actresses to choose from. They have different versions of English, Spanish, and French, so you can do multilingual greetings. They also have what they refer to as hold treatment, which is a mix of music and a script being read. They handle their own pricing and as well as their own delivery and billing. Typically, they, once they charge your credit card, they record the file, and then they send it to you via email, and then you simply upload your own file. All right. Number of retries on missed dial. Basically, how many times can an inbound caller hit an invalid option, right? So if someone calls in and they can press 5 a couple times, right, which is not a valid entry, and then the system will then either route them to my default route, which in this case goes to the smart directory, or if there's no default route in place, it will end the call. And the reason to not have a default route would be because of robodialers, right? So if I remove this default route, robodialer comes in, it will hear my greeting play a couple times because the system will wait for them to press a menu option, but eventually it will say, hey, we haven't heard a valid entry message, goodbye, or entry option, goodbye. So that way robodialers don't get through your system, whereas your actual customers, they're going to press a menu option to speak to someone. Dialing timeout, this is measured in seconds, so in this case 1. What this means is the system will, after it hears a tone, right, so someone presses 1, it will wait 1 second and then assumes, oh, they're done, they're not going to enter anything else, I'm going to send the call to route number 1. All right, allow outside recording, again, that's to record it over the phone with a cell phone or landline. And allow dialing extensions. If you turn this on, that means when someone gets here, they can enter an extension number if they know it to get to that person, right? If you turn these off, then they can only press the menu options. And then you click on save if you make any changes, and then you want to click save changes here as well. All right, second option here, call comes in, I'm sending it to Bob. If Bob's not able to pick up, then it's going to my virtual receptionist. Again, that's the same menu options that we have in greetings. This is a pull down, so you can select other users. You can send it to groups. You can send it to queues. I believe you can send it to, you can send it to devices as well as media files. But basically, the point of this option is you're giving a staff member or multiple staff members an opportunity to answer the call first. If they're not able to, then the inbound caller goes to your virtual receptionist so they can enter in a menu option or an extension if you allow it. Third option is similar, right? I'm sending it to Bob, but if Bob isn't able to pick up, I'm sending it to Bob's voicemail box. Now, you have the same options here in terms of like you can send it to users, queues, groups, media files, etc. But there is one extra one, which is way down here at the bottom, which is skip the voicemail, saying, hey, call comes in, just send it straight to a voicemail box. and then you choose the voicemail box you want the caller to go to. Right, so this is something I typically see under holidays for like smaller companies. Right, call comes in, boom, go to voicemail. Hey, sorry, it's the holidays. We'll contact you when we're back in office. Last option, this is advanced call flows, goes to one of your other attendants. Again, you have these same options under your after hours. Now, something to keep in mind, the virtual receptionist for each of these is unique, right? So they have their own menu options, probably have its own main greeting, etc. But beyond that, it's the same basic options. All right. The main conference number, and you can add from spare, all right, or I can buy a new number to add more numbers. If you click on custom greeting, if you enable this, basically you have a text-to-speech greeting you can enter here. Without this enabled, the inbound caller still says, or hears the system say, thank you for joining the conference. Please enter your conference room number and then the PIN number, and then they'll join the conference. Main fax box number, can you assign a number or buy a new one, and then you can edit the fax box. Now on this account, the fax box is broken. It's a test account. On your account, when you click on edit a fax box, it will open up a window with two fields. The first field is for the inbound notification, right? Basically, you enter an email address. That email address will get any inbound fax sent to it. Basically, like an email saying, hey, you have a new fax. Here's the caller ID, the time, the date, etc., and have an attachment in a PDF that the person can then double click on and view the fax. The second field is for outbound faxing permission. Basically, who are you allowing to fax out? So you can enter in an email address, or if you own your own email domain for your company, right? So abccleaners.com, you can put that domain in that second field, and then any of your staff members with an email address that ends in @abccleaners.com can fax out, even if they're not a user on the Dash account. Now, to send a fax, it's an email, right? So you create a new email message. In the to field, you put the plus sign, the number 1, and then the area code and phone number that you're faxing to, the @ symbol, and then your account realm. And then you simply attach a PDF or TIFF file to that email and hit send. There's no point in typing in the body of the email because the system basically, the email gets to the system. The system just grabs the attachment only and sends that out as a fax. Anything else in the email does not get sent through. You can only send one attachment per email. So if your email client, for example, adds a signature file to your email, you're going to want to remove that and then send your fax through. The largest file I've been able to fax out is 7 megabytes. That took over an hour for it to go through. That's going to vary a bit depending on server load at any given time. All right, let's go to auto attendants. So some of these auto attendants showed up as menu options, but so there are a couple of reasons to make use of auto attendants. One is for submenu, right? So you can have a menu option, go to another greeting with its own set of menu options, and you can continue on that path. The other reason to have multiple auto attendants is if you have multiple businesses going to the same account, right? So that way you can have businesses have their own phone numbers. They can have their own main greeting, right? Separate from your main number. So create an auto attendant. You click here at the top, add attendant. You name it, right? So give it a name and then an extension number, and then you would click on create attendant. Once you've created attendant, you can click on the name. And now this option here, unavailable in main menu. If it's left like this, that means this is a standalone attendant. So what if I go to, oops, this one here, right? So this attendant here has its own phone number. That means I can have a unique greeting, right? So this is its own business, separate from my main. Now, if, however, I click on it, right, to make it available in main menu. So if I go back up here, I just click on where it says unavailable, and it flips it to say available in main menu. Now that becomes an option under the other attendants as a menu option. Right? It can be like press 3 and you can get to this. Attendants can have their own phone numbers, right? You can add from spare, or you can buy a new number. Right? Attendants will have their own extension numbers. That means your staff can actually transfer callers to an auto attendant, right? So call came in, they actually needed to speak to Niner Nation. I say, hold on a minute, let me transfer you to them. I just enter 2999, and then the caller gets sent to this auto attendant. Click on the little wrench icon here, and now you see, hey, okay, call comes in, I have open hours. Now I only have this one option, right, to go to the virtual receptionist. The after hours and holidays will follow the settings under the main number, right? So they have the same open hours as my main system, but again, I have my own menu options. I have my own greeting. All right, devices shows all your devices on the account. Green means it's connected, right? It's registered. Red means it's not registered. And then black means it's been disabled. Adding a device, click here at the top. We'll start with SIP phone, right? So this is the physical VoIP phone that sits on your desk. You look for your manufacturer, and then you would look for your specific model. You can also look for a model that's close, right? If, like say, for instance, there's a T39, you can try either of the T38 or the T40 and see if that would work. But basically, you choose your manufacturer, you choose the model, you give it a name, right? So Angela's phone, and then you enter in the MAC address for the phone. Each phone has its own MAC address unique to that phone. Often it's a sticker on the back of the phone, or if you have the phone powered up, if you go under menu status, typically speaking, one of the things or one of the options there is MAC address or MAC, and that's the information you want. You would then click on Create Device and assign it to a user. Now, within the dashboard here, there's nothing else you need to do. On the phone, you actually need to log into the phone's web user interface. Basically, menu status, get the IP address, enter that IP address into your address bar of your browser. Log into the phone, and you need to enter a URL under auto provisioning. Basically, it tells the phone, hey, go here. Get on the internet, go to this address. It does so, it gets its configuration file. It will reboot a couple times, and then it will show up as a green device on your dashboard. For the specifics of the URL and where to go with screenshots, you want to go to the gas support pages. Over on the right under VoIP phones, you're looking for auto provisioning phones is the name of the guide, and it will have screenshots as well as the URL that you need to enter. Cell phone and landline are the same. You give it a name, you put the plus sign, the number 1, then area code and phone number, and then you would assign it to a user, and you click on Create Device. So when Dash sends a call to a cell phone or a landline, right, this is the default settings, right? So call comes in, getting sent to your cell phone, right? Your cell phone rings, you pick up, you'll hear, this is a forwarded call, please press 1, right? When you press 1, you're telling the system, yes, you're there, and yes, you want to take the call. And the call connects. If you're a vConsole customer, this is like pressing pound, accept the call, except you only have to do it on cell phones and landlines. Now, that may not work for every instance, right? For instance, let's say you're actually sending calls to an automated answering service, in which case you'd want to go to that phone number or that device and click here for allow use of cell phone's voicemail. So what happens now is we send the call to that device, we hear that pickup tone, and we connect the call, right? So your automated answering service can then handle the call going forward. Now, if this was your actual cell phone and you had that checked, if your cell phone voicemail picks up, we still treat that like a connected call, so that inbound caller can end up on your personal cell phone's voicemail. Right? Some people love it, some people hate it. Up to you. Right. The next thing that can come up is this one here, the keep original caller ID. So let's say customer Mary is calling in, it's ringing to my cell phone, and on the caller ID, I'm like, on my cell phone, I'm like, I don't know that number. I don't feel like answering it. Maybe it's a telemarketer, maybe it's a robodialer, I don't know. Right? So I let the call go to voicemail, and then I check voicemail later to call customer Mary back. If I uncheck this, instead of Mary's phone number showing up on my cell phone, I would see my main company number show up on my cell phone. Right? So call comes in, it's ringing my cell phone. I see main company number. Oh, that's a business call. I'll take it, and then hopefully complete the sale. Now, what I mean by main company number, I go back here to the dashboard. This one right here under the caller ID, this number that you select, that's the number that's going to show up. That's essentially the default number for pretty much everything. All right, soft phone. First, you get a little warning message saying because of wireless VoIP technology, you may not actually be at the location that is set up for your E911, so please be aware. You click on close, and you give it a name, and this is the information you would use to program a third-party application. Right? You notice here grayed out, it says you use third-party application. Now, that could be like a soft phone application from Counterpath. This could also be what you would use to program a VoIP phone that didn't show up under that SIP phone list, right? So it wasn't a Yealink, Polycom, Cisco, etc. But you're like, well, I got it says it's a SIP compatible phone. You would use these three pieces of information. Right? Click on the SIP password box to reveal the password to program that application or device. And then that device should then be able to make and receive calls. Now, and then you would click on Create Device. If you wanted to make use of the VirtualPBX software application, then you would click here where it says Use Third-Party Application. Click on that. It flips it to say Use VirtualPBX Application. You still want to give it a device name, and you want to assign it to a user, and then click on Create Device. When you click on Create Device, and you've assigned it to a user, that user gets an email saying, hey, your cell phone's been created. Here's your login information, right? Username, password. You don't get to create it. You don't get to change it. Now, if they're going to use the software application on an iPhone or an Android phone, right, they can go to their App Store and download it, log in. Right? If you're going to use the desktop version of the app, you do need to order that through the web store because there's a license fee associated with that. But then you get the download links, then you can use that login information there. Landline's the same. The next option is the web phone. Again, tap a soft phone. You give it a name. You assign it to a user. You click on Create Device. Once that happens, the user can go to webphone.virtualpbx.net, and it's going to ask them for login information. That login information matches their Dash login. Right, so same email address, same password, same account name. All right, next up we've got the Greetings Manager. This shows you your greetings on the account. All right, this includes voicemail greetings as well as main greetings. You've got the name, you've got the source, right? So TTS is text to speech. Upload means I uploaded the file. Recording means I recorded it over the phone. You have an option here to download the file so you can listen to it to make sure it's still relevant. You can click on the little wrench icon here. You can change the name or delete a greeting if it's no longer valid. Oops. If you click here, add, this allows you to upload a greeting, right? You give it a name, you find the file. Right, select the file, and then click on create greeting. Again, .wave.mp3 recorded in mono, under 1 megabyte. Groups is shorthand for ring groups. This is like for departments. Right, so adding a group, you click here at the top, you give it a name, you give it an extension number, then you click and drag the people you want to be in the group. Right, so these are the staff members associated with that group, and then you click on create group. Once you've created a group, you can click on its name, and you can change the name. Right, and then you've got the group call attempts. Right, basically how many times can an inbound caller ring through to the staff members? In this case, 1. If you notice here to the right, I've got up arrows so I can increase it if I want to. And you also have the option to delete a group. If you click on the members box, you see here, these are all my staff members in this group. This is my total ring time. Right? Yeah, I can change that since it's a field. Now, right now this is set up as blast ringing, meaning it's ringing everybody at the same time for the full time until someone picks up the call. I can also click on distribute here. So now it's going to go in this order, right, top down, and it equalizes out over time. Now, if I don't like this order, I can click and drag my staff members around, and I can click distribute again. But these are also sliders, so you can adjust it however you see fit. And then you'll just click on Save Changes. All right, groups can have their own extension numbers, and they can have multiple of them. They can also have their own phone numbers, meaning this phone, if someone dials this number, it goes directly into the group. It doesn't go through the virtual receptionist. And then we've got group features. So ringback, you can have a .wave or .mp3 file playback as the customer is waiting for one of your staff members to pick up the call. Now, the main thing about this is to make sure this file plays, right? The duration of this file equals or exceeds the total ring time you have here, right? The system will not loop the file for you. So in this case, 120 seconds. Next action, if you have this enabled, if no one picks up, where are you going to send the call? We go through the list here, maybe, there we go. Right, you can send it back to the main menu. You can send it to one of your ACD queues. You can send it to a specific device. You can send it to a specific user. You can send it to another green group, or you can send it to a voicemail box. And then click on Save Changes. Excuse me. Allow call forward. If you enable this, you're allowing the group users to make use of call forwarding. And then caller ID prepend. This is for your VoIP phone users. You can add, in this case, text or numbers in front of the caller ID that shows up on their phone's display. Again, to give your staff members an idea of what the call is about. Right? This is useful if you have staff members in multiple groups or queues. Numbers takes you to the numbers manager. Numbers in use shows the numbers that you're using and where they're going. Right, you got the little gear icon next to any of them, so you can update the caller ID, E911, and prepend. Spare numbers shows numbers you're not currently using. If you want to get rid of a number, you would click on the box in front of it, and now you've got the option here to delete. Delete the number. It says yes, it's been removed, and I have one less phone number on the account. I can buy numbers here, right? So local and toll free. And I can also start the port process here. So port means move a phone number from one carrier to another. All right, so you can click US toll-free, click next, and then it's going to ask me to upload a file. All right, in this case, I believe it's asking me for a bill. Yeah. All right, so bill within the last 30 days. It's going to also give you the option to download a blank letter of agency, which does need to be filled out. So it needs to be completed and signed. And then later in the process, you can upload that completed and signed LOA to the process, as well as then submit the port port. It'll upload the files. You'll get an email saying, hey, you successfully submitted. You'll get another email, right? So you'll get two emails, but the second one will show up by the next business day. That's coming from our actual porting team, letting you know, yes, we did get the port. Yes, we've submitted it. Here's what to expect. So a couple things to keep in mind about porting. The completed LOA, right? On the LOA, it asks you for your company information, right? The company name, the address, etc. That should match what your current carrier has on file for you, typically whatever shows up on their invoice. It does ask for a signature, right? So ask for, who's the authorized person's name, and then ask for that person's signature. So the first field you can type in. The second field does need to be signed. It can be digitally signed, but it does need to be an actual signature. Just typing it in twice will get it rejected and then delay your port. Once we get those documents, right, we submit the port request. A local number can take anywhere from a couple of days to a few weeks. Right? The average is about a week and a half to 2 weeks. Toll-free numbers, usually in the area of about 3 to 5 business days, assuming there's no problems with the port request, i.e. no errors on the LOA. If for some reason you try to submit and it didn't get through, or you didn't get both emails, you can still email porting, so PORTING at VirtualPBX.com with those documents, and they can still process the port from your email, right? You don't have to do it through the port process here in Dash. All right, users. All right, shows all your users on the account. Little gray person is your standard user. Person with the blue suit is an admin. If you want to add a new user, click here at the top. You put in their name. The email address used for login is unique for each person, right? So Bob and Mary have been using support at virtualpbx.com as their email address, right? They both get them, whatever. But when I need to add them to as a user, I need to make sure they each have their own. They both can't have support at virtualpbx.com for their login email. You create a password for them, and then a main extension number. Now, on this system, I started with extension 1000, so this system is being helpful and telling me the next available one is 1029. But let's say, for instance, I just added a new company under my auto attendants. I can change this to be, start with extension 2001, right, for that new company, so I know, hey, these are the staff members for that second company. All right, first checkbox here is create a voicemail box for the user. Seems like a usually good idea. Include in the user directory. You can always change that option later. Send emails to an alternate address. So if you put a check mark here and put an email address here, right, this email address will supersede this one in terms of voicemail notifications, as well as password recovery, or if you create a soft phone, the credentials get sent to the alternate address. And probably the most important one in my opinion, send credentials to the user. So once you click on create user, they'll get an email with their login information. On a user, once a user created, you can click on their name. You can change their name. Click here to change their credentials, right? So you can change their email address or their password. You also have the option here to send a password reset email if for some reason they can't click on the forgot your info link. voicemail box PIN. Now, if your staff is going to use VoIP phones, you don't have to set up a PIN number for the voicemail boxes. They can simply pick up their VoIP phone and hit *98. That will log them into that to their voicemail box. And the first time they do that, the system will prompt them to create a PIN number as well as to record a voicemail greeting. For your cell phone and landline users, you do need to create a PIN number for them. All right, here's the option to send to an alternate address as well as the company directory. Over here, under user, this is a pull down, so you can change a user into an admin or vice versa. This pull down is for the time zone that the user is in case it's different from the company time zone. This is the display language, English, French, German, or Russian. The ringing timeout here, this is how much time the system tries to ring the devices on the user. So on a new user, this defaults to 20 seconds, which for VoIP devices and landlines is plenty of time. If you're sending calls to a cell phone, it takes longer, which is why in this case it's 45 seconds. Right? So in terms of how PBX systems handle calls, right? Call comes in, and then the PBX says, oh, I need to send it to a landline. We send it to the landline carrier. They say, oh, we know exactly where that phone is. Here, boom, send it over. Right? Whereas call comes from the PBX system, they say, oh, we had to send it to a cell phone. Send the call to a cell phone carrier. Cell phone carrier says, hold on a second. We need to find them first. Right? Bounce the signal off the cell phone towers. Oh, found him. Now sends the call over to that person. It's that delay of finding the cell phone user is why it takes longer to route a call to a cell phone than it does to a landline or a VoIP phone. All right, users can have multiple extensions if you want them to. Just click on Add Extension. They can also have their own phone numbers, right? Add from spare or buy new numbers. You can add devices to users, right? So you can add from spare devices, meaning a device that isn't assigned to anyone, or you can add a new one. Right, same options as before. And then we've got the group features. Right, caller ID number, this one is only allowed for people who have their own phone number. But basically it means when they make an outbound call, this is the phone number that shows up on their caller ID on the outbound side. Call forwarding, you have off, on, or failover mode. Right, so off, you're not using it. On means, hey, I'm not going to be at my normal phone, so when calls come to my user, send it to this phone number instead. Call forwarding is a feature that your users can set up for themselves. They can either do it through the user portal, or they can also do it from their VoIP phone. Speaking of VoIP phones, failover mode is for VoIP phone users. Right? When the system detects that a VoIP phone is unregistered, it will automatically go to call forwarding. So basically my VoIP phone lost connection, call comes to my user, system will automatically direct it to this 408 number, right? So that I can pick up the call still. And then I can investigate afterwards, why did my VoIP phone become unregistered? Hot desking is another VoIP feature. This is for an instance where you're in an office environment where people may change desks from day to day, from week to week, or what have you, right? So basically, Tuesday I came in, I sat at desk number 7. I pick up the VoIP phone, I hit *11, that turns on hot desking. The system asks me for the hot desk ID number, which hopefully my admin has set up and told me about. And then if selected, a PIN number. But after you've done that, the system says, okay, your calls will not be forwarded to this device. So as long as I'm sitting at this phone, calls coming to my user ring at the phone I'm sitting at. The end of my day, I pick up the VoIP phone, I hit *12, that turns off hot desking, and I go about my business. All right, the next time I come into the office, whether that's tomorrow or next Tuesday, right, desk 7 is occupied. Someone's already sitting there. I'm like, oh, bummer. All right, well, I'll sit over here at desk number 32, right, next to the tree and not too far from the water cooler. Not a bad location. Pick up the VoIP phone, I hit *11, enter my hot desk ID again, and now calls are coming to me at this phone that I happen to be sitting at. Okay, voicemail, that's because that was created with the user. Fax box. So users can have their own individual fax boxes if you want them to, which is click enabled. And then you can add a number, right? A spare number, a new number, buy a new number, or you can choose an extension. If you choose an extension, one, this has to be a new unique extension, right? So you can't repeat any extension numbers or voicemail box numbers. So the system is displaying, hey, here's some extensions. You can search for a particular extension, or you can just enter in one because you know the extensions, right? So like the extension you're going to use, you enter here, and then you click on select extension. So now you have to educate the people who are faxing you, right? So from their perspective, right, they dial your main number, they hear the greeting, then they have to hit the fax extension that they're going to fax to, and then they have to hit send fax. That assumes that their fax machine can support that, or their fax service if they're using an electronic fax service. It's actually for that second reason, but for both those reasons is why I would suggest making use of a number, so that way people can just enter the phone number, send that fax off, whether they're using an electronic fax service or whatever fax machine they're using. Conference bridge. So I added a main conference number so I can enable conferencing on any user. And then the conference room number matches your extension number, and then the PIN number. That's something you do need to enter in for your staff member. However, they can change this via the user portal, just like for call forwarding, they can adjust it themselves on the user portal. You just need to enter in something here to get it started, and then you click on Save Changes. And now this person can then host a conference or be a conference moderator. All right, follow me. This is for making use of multiple devices. That's here. Let's disable that real quick, and we'll show you how it looks when you enable it. So when you click enable, this is how it starts off. This is your total ring time, but it says, hey, I don't know which devices you want it to actually ring to. You have to let me know. So you uncheck the devices you want to use, maybe. There we go. And now these are sliders, right? I can do something like that. I can click distribute, and just like in groups, I can change the order. And then click on Save Changes. Music on hold. Users can have their own hold music if you want them to. You just need to enable it, and then upload a .wave.mp3 recorded in mono under 1 megabyte file. And this will supersede the upload you did on the main page. Customized call recording. So when you enable it, it looks like this. Basically saying, okay, what kind of calls do you want to record? Inbound internal means coworker Bob called me. Right? Inbound external means customer called me. Whereas outbound internal means I called coworker Mary. Outbound external means I called a customer back. So you choose which ones you actually want to record, and then click on Save Changes. And then Do Not Disturb basically means, hey, this person is actually not here, then call to voicemail. All right. Voicemail boxes. Shows your voicemail boxes on the account. The ones that have both fields entered here, that means these are your user voicemail boxes. You can create your own voicemail boxes here, right? So standalone or manually created voicemail boxes, for instance, for like your ring groups or for your ACDQs. And you give it a name, you give it a voicemail box number as well as a PIN number, and then you would click on Create a New Voicemail Box. Once you've created a voicemail box, or even for any of the existing voicemail boxes, if you click on the little wrench icon, right? You can adjust the name, the PIN number, and the voicemail box number. If you go to advanced, first up, you've got reading media. Now, for a manually created voicemail box, you can upload a file here, right? You can call into the system, right? When you get to the main number, hit *97. Then the system will ask you for the voicemail box number as well as PIN number, and you can record it over the phone. But you do want to make sure you have a media file selected for your voicemail box. Now, the temporary file, that's for when people are out of the office, right? So if a temporary file is selected, it supersedes the media file and will play until admin changes it back to none on the temporary side. All right, so it allows you to keep your main greeting instead of having to always overwrite your voicemail greetings when people are out of the office. Especially for manually created voicemail box, you do need to add a recipient, right? For the user voicemail boxes, they already have a recipient by default because that's the user login email address. That's an automatic recipient for their voicemails. For a voicemail box you create here on this page, you want to add an email address here, add new email address, and put it in the field here, and then click on Save Changes. So once you have a media file and the recipients, then under the advanced options, you can click on Already Set Up, saying, hey, this voicemail box is ready. A couple other options that come up. So, in fact, these two down here, they're related somewhat. So by default, or actually not even by default, voicemail boxes on Dash, they can hold up to 100 messages. After that, they are full and cannot accept any more. Right? So when someone tries to call in and leave a message, they get that annoying message, voicemail box is full, please try again later. To avoid that from happening, new voicemail boxes have these options down here enabled. One is the attach messages to email, right? Saying, hey, when we send out that notification that you have a voicemail, we're attaching that voicemail as a .mp3 file to the email, right? So then you get the email, you can double click on the attachment and listen to the voicemail. You don't have to log in to the user portal, you don't have to log in over the phone. The other thing it does is that the system by default will then delete the voicemail from the system so the voicemail box doesn't get full. Now, if you have staff members who don't like that because they prefer to call in over the phone or via the user portal, maybe they're remote often, right, on the road, it's easier for them to just call in and retrieve their messages directly from their cell phone, for example. Then you would want to uncheck the delete after notification, right? If you, for some reason, don't want your staff members to get emails with the attachment, then you would also uncheck the attached messages to email. There's also an option here to transcribe the messages, right? So basically the system scans the message and puts it in text form so you can read it in your email. That's actually new, like end of November, early December. All right, advanced routing. This is mostly for our customers who migrated from vConsole, but these features will be coming to everyone shortly. So up here, we have direct inward system access. What this does is allows your cell phone or landline users to call into your system. And then if you have this enabled, essentially log in and then make an outbound call, right, from the system, right? So they've called in from their cell phone, they log in via DISA, they'll hear dial tone, they enter in a phone number, area code and phone number, and to make an outbound call. Now, on that outbound call, the caller ID that would show up would be the main company number, right, over here under the dashboard, under that caller ID heading, instead of their cell phone number. Now, this is something our vConsole customers had, so that's why it was brought over here. So you can click on Enable, you edit the settings, you have a PIN number, and you can always change that. and you can add an extension number. So click on Save Changes. So now any of my staff members from a cell phone or a landline can call into the main number that rings to the virtual receptionist. They enter in this extension number, and then the system will ask them for the PIN number. Right? At that point, they'll hear dial tone. They just need to enter in the area code and phone number they want to reach out to. Then they'll hear the ringing. Again, the caller ID that shows up on the other end is the main number, right? Not my cell phone number. Now, for new signups, this feature is not enabled at signup just because it is a potential for fraud, right? Someone could, it's potentially, right, the potential is there for someone to figure out the extension and the PIN number, and they can make outbound calls on your account without you knowing it, right? So it's either using up your minutes, or if they may have, if you have international dialing enabled, they could be trying to call internationally and really jack up your bill. So that's why it's not enabled for new signups. Also, what would show up here would be auto route for rules that are not blocking phone numbers, right? So you have an auto route rule, go to a voicemail box, for example, and also for select route. Basically, you had calls come in, they enter in a zip code, for example, and then you had that the system route that to another extension or queue. Right? Those two features would also show up here. This account obviously doesn't have those. All right, call logs. This shows your call activity on the account. Expand that a little bit. A little green arrow to the right means the call came into the system. And if you click on that, you get a little bit more details. Normally on a live account, you would see that it tried to reach devices specifically. And then you can also have outbound calls with a left arrow to the left, or a left pointing arrow that's yellow, excuse me. The little fire hydrant icon here, if you click on that, it will create an email that goes to support@virtualpbx.com with the technical details. In the body of that email, I would strongly suggest that you enter in what you experienced or didn't experience. Like, my phone didn't ring, but the system says I got a call. That sort of thing. It gives us an idea of what was going on and what to troubleshoot. Feature codes. I've already mentioned a couple of these, like the *11 right here for and *12 for hot desking. So these are basically dial pad shortcuts to make use of features on Dash. These are also published on our website under the Dash support pages, so you don't actually have to log in to view them all, but they are here to reference at any time. All right, so let's go over here. So we've been under dashboard this whole time, so let's go over to ACD queues. ACD stands for Automatic Call Distribution. It's a call center feature. Standard queues start at $15 per month per queue, or there's 15 or 30 depending on your plan. There's also ACD Queues Pro, which start at $99 depending on your plan. And if that's something you're interested in, you probably want to double check with our account services team to make sure it's going to meet your needs and see what impact that would have on your bill. Right, add a new queue is you click right here in the top right, but I click on the little gear icon and we'll get to those settings. All right. Oh, so a couple things about queues. In some ways, queues are an advanced version of ring groups. In other ways, they're limited. So for one, groups can have their own extension and their own phone number, right? Queues can have one or the other. They cannot have both. Now, both groups and queues can be menu options off of your auto attendants or virtual receptionist. So you still have multiple ways to get them both. Now, the big caveat for queues is that currently calls can only be accepted with a VoIP device, right? So a web phone, a soft phone, or a physical VoIP phone, SIP phone, right? Those are the only devices that you can accept a queue call on currently. In a ring group, doesn't matter. You can use cell phones or landlines as well. Now, our team is working to have queue calls go to cell phones and landlines. But that is not an official release at this time. All right. So, in terms of getting a queue or creating a queue, you give it a name, you give it an extension or a phone number, right? You can find new, add some spare. Then over here, you've got the configuration. So, queue routing strategy. This one is set right now to most idle. What that means is, for my staff members who are logged in, whoever's been waiting for the call the longest gets the next call that comes into the queue, right? So Bob's been waiting for 5 minutes, Mary's been waiting for 12 minutes, next call comes in, goes to Mary. Now, there are several other routing strategies to choose from. Unfortunately, the pull down's not working here. So there's also round robin, right? So it's going to equalize out over time. You can have ring all, meaning it's going to ring everybody until someone picks up, right? Which is one of the options under ring groups. You have least offered, right? So that means, let's say Bob and Mary. Bob's been offered 20 calls, Mary's been offered 5, right? Under least offered, the next call that comes in is going to go to Mary. And then there's least calls. This means the least amount of connected calls. So in that same scenario, right? Bob's had 20 offers, Mary's had 5. Let's say Bob's only spoken to 2 people, right? 2 connected calls. Mary has spoken to 5 people. So the next call that comes in under least calls goes to Bob because he's only spoken to 2 people. Right, so you have some advanced routing options versus groups. Hold treatment, again, you can upload a file, .wav, .mp3, recorded in mono. We've got queue timeout. This is how much time your inbound caller can wait on hold, measured in seconds. The queue call limit, you can actually limit the number of people who are waiting on hold. If you have 0, that means you don't have a limit. Timeout immediately if empty. So if you have no staff members logged in the queue, treat any inbound call as if they've hit this 3,600 second limit. Escalation queue basically means if you select a second queue, if your staff members are busy, the callers will roll over to the second queue. And then the escalation call flow after timeout. So after this 3,600 second timer is expired, send the callers to this voicemail box. Now, you have other options here, right? I can send it to one of my other attendants. I can send it to a specific device. I can send it to a specific user. I can send it to Smart Directory. I can send it to one of my groups, a media file, and a voicemail box. All right. Agent behavior, agent recovery timer measured in seconds. Basically, after they've had a queue call, how much time before the system offers them another call from this queue. This is normally 15 to 30 seconds for most that I've seen. Force away on reject or missed, if this is enabled, basically means if an agent misses a call, the system will put them on away mode until they put themselves back in ready mode. Right, so the system won't bother offering a call until the user says, hey, I'm actually here. And then agent connect timeout is measured in seconds, basically how much time we're trying to reach the devices or on the user. And again, since I can only accept calls on VoIP devices, 20 seconds is typically enough time. Right, over here on the left, we've got the members. And then you want to click on Manage Members. So my list here on the left, these are available users on my account, right? So they're not in any queue. In fact, they don't have access to ACD queues, period. My list here on the right, these are my staff members who are available to be in queues, right? So I can always add people over if I want to. And notice that now I have, right? Likewise, I can take people out and remove people. Now, these staff members aren't in every queue, right? So if we go back here and click queues, if I click on the queue itself, right, I can add agents. Right, I can click and drag and add people, and unfortunately the save button is cut off here at the bottom. And once you've added agents, you can choose to have those agents be a manager. All right, now in terms of your staff members, right, so they would click here to get to the queues. They would click on Begin Session. That logs them in, but I'm in, I start off in away mode. If I click on the queue here, you see I'm red, meaning, hey, he's marked away. I can now then mark myself as ready. I'm going to turn green, so now I'm ready to take calls that come into the system. Blue means the person's on an inbound call. Yellow means they're on an outbound call. And gold means they're on recovery time. This little phone icon here allows me to select devices that I'm taking calls on. And again, you want to either have select all or just make sure you're using a VoIP device and that you're logged into that VoIP device. Right, so if I go to lunch, I can mark myself away, or at the end of my day, I click End Session. Right, that's another advantage of queues over groups, is that the staff members can determine when they're getting calls. Right, they can log in, mark away, or mark ready, and log out. Whereas in groups, once you're in a group, you're in a group. You're getting a call no matter what. As long as if a call comes into that group, your phone will ring. All right, blacklists. Basically, this allows you to create a list of phone numbers that you are not allowing to connect to your system. All right, so you would click on Edit Blacklists, click Add to create a new list, or just click on a list that exists. You give it a name. Block Anonymous, if you turn this on, that means if we don't get valid inbound caller ID, then we are blocking that call. Otherwise, you click on Add Number, you put +1 area code and phone number, and you would keep on adding, or keep on clicking Add to add additional phone numbers. When you're done, you click on Save. And then you go back to Settings. And then you make sure that list is set over here on the right under Selected. And then you click Update. So now any phone number, or anonymous phone number, in case of the cuckoo list, right? But any numbers on these two lists, when they try to call my system, they get a busy tone, right? So they're not getting through. That could be because there's someone who's harassing you. Maybe there's just been a lot of robo-dialers, etc. Right, any admin can get to the fax boxes on the account. They just choose the person and they can see what's going on with their inbound and outbound faxes. You can also get to the email to fax logs, which if you have a setting here, there's a little eyeball icon here, which you can click on to see what happened with that email to fax. Monitor, click on this. This allows you to see what your staff is up to in terms of their call activity, right? So green means they're ready for a call. Red means they've marked away. Blue means they're on an inbound. Yellow on an outbound or external call. And then gold means they're on recovery time from a queue call. The number manager takes you back to your numbers, right? Your spare number list and your spare recordings manager. This takes you to recordings.virtualpbx.com. This allows you to see your recordings as well as listen to them or download them or remove them from the recording storage. Reports, this is advanced reporting. This is currently in beta. This basically allows you to create your own reports so you can get a better idea of what's going on with your call activity among your staff. If that is something you're interested, you want to talk to our account services team as they can get you set up with that. This account actually is not set up with that at this time. Voicemails. Again, as an admin, you can get to any voicemail box on the account. You can see their messages. You can listen to them. You can download them or delete them. Webhooks. This allows you to link Dash via APIs to other software. If that's something you're interested in, you actually need to talk to our sales team. They have some qualifying info. You can also go to developer.virtualpbx.com to see some of the things we have done with APIs and Dash, just to give you an idea of the possibilities. Oh, and I forgot the user portal. So every user on your account has access to their own user portal. This is where they would check their emails or voicemails, excuse me. So like they could play it back, they could download it, etc. Call history, they can see their inbound and outbound calls. They can also see their inbound and outbound faxes. The contact list, this is everything within your Dash account, right? So all of the ACD queues, the groups, the users, etc., and how callers are getting to them. This is not something that your staff can add to, right? So like your salespeople couldn't add their client list to this. This is only within your Dash account. Conference tab. Over here on the right, this is where your users can adjust their own conferencing PIN numbers, as well as, if people, when they join, are they muted or deafened? You can play entry tones and exit tones. Up here, they can invite other Dash users into a conference. They can lock a conference. They can mute everybody and unmute everybody, as well as end the call. When you're actually in a conference, you can like mute a specific participant. You can also kick a specific participant as well. Under settings and devices, this is where your staff members can set up their own call forwarding. Right, put a check mark there, put +1 area code and phone number for they're sending calls to, as well as the other options, and then click save, as well as see the status of their current devices. All right, and that is everything. So I'll hang out for a minute or so in case people have questions via chat. But beyond that, I thank you for your time today. All right, not seeing any chats come through, so I'm going to go ahead and end the stream. Again, I thank you for your time today.